Good morning. Good morning. I'm going live in all the places. Make sure. Good morning. And as you get here, make sure that you say hello and let me know that you're here. Let me get this up on my phone. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Make sure you let me know that you're here and say hello in the comments. And is my camera a little bit off here? There we go. I had the most amazing time yesterday with Deborah Weed as we did our the first podcast that I've done live on YouTube. And so it was a great way to get my feet wet. Good morning, Carrie. And it was really a lot of fun. And I will share, good morning, Wendy, that I was a little more nervous about it than I really thought I would be. And part of it, and I shared it on the podcast, was because, when you're doing the podcast recordings and everything, you can kind of think in the back of your mind. I don't edit anything because if it flubs or whatever, I'm just as proud as I can be, right? But on the other hand, in the back of my mind, oh, it was amazing. You'll have to go check it out. The thing is in the back of your mind, or in my mind, I could always tell myself, well, it's okay, because if it ends up being a total wreck, you can just not post it. You don't have to do anything with it, right? And I had never done that, at all, but it was still this little safety net, right? That was back there. It was just talking to me. And so yesterday, going live on YouTube doing it, it was like, there's no safety net. We either sink or swim, right? And it ended up being really a great episode, and I enjoyed it so much. And we had a couple of people in the comments talking to us. And so now I've decided, well, I can't say I've completely decided, but I'm thinking I might start doing one live a week of my podcast. And so I'm just kind of playing with that idea. Can I post the link? Yes, I will do that when I get off here. I will post the link to it. But like I said, it was really good. I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed getting to know her and all of the stuff about the luckiest penny. And I was telling one of my friends about it this morning as we were talking. And so while we were talking on the phone, she was actually looking the book up and everything. So, hopefully it will really end up propelling things a little bit more for her. And because it's definitely beautiful and needs to be out, right? All right. So, I haven't done copied and pasted my affirmation and journal prompt yet. I got kind of distracted because my daughter used my computer last night, and I came in here and my microphone and everything wasn't working. And I said, what the heck? So I went and I said, what did you do? She said, I didn't do anything. The power went off at some point last night. Oh, okay. Sorry. So I came back in. It was just because everything had shut down. Then I felt bad. So I have to go and apologize again and after I get finished. Oh my gosh. But let me see. Where was it? Here we go. Hold on. I'm trying to grab my affirmation and journal prompt. Where are they at? Okay, here we go. It's a process, Hold on. Just talks amongst yourselves for a minute. Well, it is so funny because I thought, I can't believe I've said all this stuff And well, just since you didn't hear it, it was probably brilliant, right? And then it's like, okay, now start over, start over. But it was good. It was all good. But I did look, first thing was that the light wasn't even on my microphone. It was like, oh no. All right. So today's affirmation is a very delicious one, right? My voice is powerful and deserves to be heard. What? Don't you think? Your voice is powerful and deserves to be heard. And the thing is that we, like, one of the things I share a lot is that the reason I started my podcast was because I had filtered my voice my whole life. And a lot of people didn't think that, but I definitely was not voicing my opinion. I wasn't saying things when I wanted to say things. And I changed the way I spoke and what I did depending on who I was in front of. And part of that was a gift in a way, because like I shared yesterday on the podcast, that as a hairstylist, one of the things that you learn, or you should learn, is that each person's an individual. So when I would have a new client come in and sit in my chair, I would ask them a few little questions and I would listen to the way that they talked. And then that way, I watched Workshop from Monday, loved the visualization. Oh, good, good. But we learn how to put someone at ease with talking in their vernacular kind of thing. Not necessarily that you have their accent or whatever, but you're using some of their terminology, and you slow your pace of talk. There's different things that you do that help the person feel more comfortable. And you want someone that feels comfortable if they're sitting in their chair and trusting you to do their hair, right? And so I learned that skill early on because my parents were hairstylists, right? You love the games too. I know, it was so amazing. And so we don't even know what we're going to be doing for the one on Tuesday, but you got to sign up and be there because it's going to be delicious too. I promise you. But like I said, my parents were hairstylists. So I grew up seeing this in action and learned it really quick. And so it's a gift that you can do to make people feel comfortable and make people feel at ease, right? The thing is that I did that so much that I was just constantly putting the other person at ease in every arena, whether it was at work or relationships or wherever it may be. And I was losing me, right? I was not, I didn't feel like I was ever in a place where I felt like, well, I'm just being me, because I wasn't. And so that's why I really wanted to do the podcast. And I can see how it's kind of morphing out into other areas of my life, to where, I do speak up more, even behind the chair when I'm doing a client's hair. Now I feel very comfortable with saying, well, that may be true for you, but that's not what I believe. And, I never did that before, right? You came from a family business too, Wendy? Yeah, it's a hotel business. Yeah. Um, and it's interesting how you just morph into whatever you need to be in the moment. And if you're in a family business, you kind of morph into who they want you to be, right? I mean, it was an amazing thing that I got to be in this entrepreneurial family. And I actually, I've struggled with, one of the things was, I was determined. Now listen to this. I was determined that I was not going to be a hairstylist. Everybody in my family was a hairstylist. I was not going to be it. And I would go and help in the summers. And even when I was in college, I would cut people's hair, and I would go home and I would say, okay, this person's got hair that's like this, and I want to make it look like this. What do I do? And they would tell me the angles to hold things in and all the stuff. And then I'd go back and do the hair, but I just did it to make some extra cash. I did not do it because I wanted to. Right. And so I said, I'm always been Sometimes it's almost like I'm the black sheep in a way because I want to do the exact opposite of what everybody else is doing. And I even do that with my hair and the way I dress and things. And I really have to hold on to the things that I like, because sometimes if somebody starts adopting too many of the things that I do with my hair, my color, or anything like that, I'll want to change it just because they're all doing it. And I came to realize that sometimes I'm doing things like that at my detriment, because if I really like the what I'm wearing, and I really like the way I wear my hair, and if I really like the color, then if I stop doing it because some other people are doing it, then I'm not serving me, right? And so there's so many times, places in my life that I was doing things not because I wanted to do them, because I felt compelled that this is what I needed to do to feel better. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But um, I did notice as a hairstylist that when I would change my hair, a lot of my clients would start wanting to get that hairstyle. And then I would think, well, now everybody's doing that. I'm going to have to do something different. And I would change it, and then I would change it again. And I'd end up going back to the one I like so much. So that's where I'm at today. Um, but it's interesting, right? How many times we we do things that we don't even really understand why we're doing them. And I know this doesn't really sound like it has anything to do with our voice being powerful and deserving to be heard, but it is. Because if if we're changing who we are because of some external thing that's going on, then we're not being powerful within ourselves. Oh, let me have a sip of coffee. Okay. And most of us are in this group. And the reason I created this group is because there are so many people that are wanting to make changes in their life, and they just seem to not be able to do it, or not be able to do it long term. And that's in all different places, right? That comes from, stop smoking, reducing weight, standing up and being counted, speaking your truth. Um, let's see, it could be asking for a raise at work. It could be having better boundaries. It could be talking to your children, talking to your spouse. There are so many places that we were looking for some help, right? And so that's why I started this, because I needed it all, right? And it's been a journey for me. And as I've taken that journey and I've learned things, then I want to pour that in to you. And so there's probably something that's going on with you that somebody else would really benefit knowing how you manage it, right? So, like for you, Wendy, I know from talking to you the other day, because I had you on my podcast, that you do a lot of cruising and you love cruising and you have an amazing marriage. And, like I said, I want to be you when I grow up, but I'm not the only one that says that to you. So that's a little indicator. Okay, if people are saying that, then they're watching and they're wanting what I can do. So maybe, you know, if you haven't already been journaling about it, journal a little bit more and start sharing some stories and things. And it doesn't mean you've got a business unless you want to. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means you share. And when you can teach other people things, you learn more. And so I mean, hell, I would love to just sit and have a conversation about your marriage, because that's one of the places that has not been the best for me. And the communication is like, that's one of the reasons that I had Wendy on with the communication, was because that's one of the places that I really struggled. And I want to be much, much better at that before I get in a relationship. And I love cruising. I don't go as often as I would like to, but I might like to know a little bit more about the ins and outs of how you do things and how you connect with the staff and the other people around you and stuff. I mean, it would be fun to have that conversation, right? And so remember, whatever it is That's the way the breast cancer community works. Support, yes. And so use your voice because it is powerful. Whatever it is that you are passionate about, speak up because it deserves to be heard. There is someone that right now is saying, "Oh, I wish I knew how to." And then your voice would be the perfect thing to help them, right? So just remember that. So you write this on your sticky notes, your index card, the screensaver on your phone, wherever it is you can that'll support you today. My voice is powerful and I deserve to be heard. Not only that, other people deserve to hear my voice. They deserve to have answers. And if the answers I have are something that they need, I am not doing what God put me here to do if I'm not sharing it, right? We have blogs about cruising. Oh, okay, yes. Well, I need to look at that one then. That's for sure. All right. So let me get to the journal prompt. Hold on. Where's it at? Women's empowerment. Yes, yes. All right. Let me look at this real quick and make sure I'm seeing everything. Um all right. So let me get back over here and share the journal prompt. Are you ready for the journal prompt? Put a yes in the comments if you're ready. We'll go for the next one. Oh, yesterday on the podcast that we did live, I actually had Wendy, no Wendy, sorry, Deborah actually performed one of her songs. It was so sweet. I loved it. The PU song that she said that's the thing that most of the kids loved. So she actually performed it. So it was beautiful. Ah, hello, Wendy. I didn't know you were here. So beautiful, beautiful. All right. So we got some yeses in the house. And just so I can share before I go forward any further, that if you're watching on another platform and I'm not speaking to you and I haven't acknowledged you, it's because the only one that I can see is the Facebook group. And so if you're here, I'm so happy to have you here. And I appreciate you. I'm not ignoring you at all. Okay. And so, and then what else was I going to say? I don't remember. So it'll come to me. All right. So let me, let me share the journal prompt. So when have you felt the most confident speaking up? Now, it's not saying when were you confident, it's when you were the most confident. So maybe confidence is speaking up has not been your forte, right? But there has to be one time that you felt a little bit more confident than other times when you spoke up. And so it's like going back to that place. Or maybe it would even benefit you to imagine a conversation where you can speak confidently and just do it all in your imagination. If you can't find anything, then imagine what it would feel like and how people would respond, because that's a visual that I sometimes take people through too, and it's very, very powerful. But what we want to do is we want to be able to recreate that in future situations, right? So if you can go back to a time that you felt very confident, then we can bring that feeling. And let me just share one of my hypnosis clients that she was wanting to speak at a networking event, not necessarily speak. She is a keynote speaker. What she wanted to do was she wanted to go to this networking event and be able to have conversations with people she didn't know. She wanted to be able to have conversations with people when things weren't scripted, right? Because when she was doing her keynote, she knew exactly what she was going to be talking about. She knew her format, and she had done it enough that she felt like it was had this flow to it, right? But when she went to a place and there was the unknown of talking to people in person that she didn't know, or maybe she knew them just a little bit, but she said it would make her so nervous that she would hide in the corner and she would break out in a sweat. Almost, she said, people would see her physically sweating if they started approaching her. And so, one of the things that I did to help her, which we did in hypnosis, we did a lot of things to get her to the place where it was an amazing, amazing thing that she had the experience that she had when she went to the networking event. But one of the things was I had her do this where she would go back in her mind in time to a time when she got into a crowd of people that she didn't know, and she felt very capable of enjoying herself and talking to people that she didn't know, and she was relaxed and having fun. And it was all the way back to college, when a time that she had been invited to go to a party or something. And at that party, she just mingled and laughed and had fun. And there were no expectations, no anxiety about it. She was just having fun. So I took her back to that in her imagination. And we kind of relived a little bit of that under hypnosis. And then she was able to have that. I gave her a trigger. Let me take this out of my ear. My earbuds talking to me. And then I had her we set a trigger thing for her to bring that emotion up if she needed it, right? And so the beautiful thing was, she said when she woke up the next morning, normally when she was going to be going to a network thing, I was shy in the networking events, always looking for people I knew. Yes, yes. And she even wouldn't go unless she could have somebody go with her to have a buffer so she could just talk to them. And then she ended up not networking at all. But with this one, she said when she woke up in the morning, I know, silly. And when she woke up in the morning, usually she'd be stressed because she knew she was going, and she would worry about the traffic, and she had worried about all these things. But she said the cool thing was that when she woke up, she found herself doing the little trigger thing that I had her doing, which was just rubbing her hands together, right? She found herself doing that without even thinking, and just feeling good. And she felt good the drive there, and she had a totally different experience being at that networking event. And so it's all not only because she had this memory, but we did other steps during the hypnosis and all. But the thing is if you can find something in your memory banks that where you felt very confident speaking up, or felt more confident than any other time, and when you're faced with something and you can bring that into your memory, that helps you to be in that place again of the confidence, right? So today, journal about this. And because one of the things that you're wanting from being in this group is to be able to make these changes. And so this is one of the ways to begin making the change. And so one of the things is, hold on, let me look and see if there's, I can't, I wish I could tell. Oh, I see. There are some people on, on Instagram. All right. Lead with EQ Coach. Oh, that's insightful. Yes, thank you. And Awakening Soulful Journeys is on Instagram. I can see it now. So thank you for being here, and thank you for responding to the questions and all that stuff. I appreciate it. But the thing is that we want to be able today to start making this change, right? And remember, the reason we put it in our journal or on our notebook, and we put the date and the affirmation in the journal prompt is so we have this place to go back and look and measure our growth. And it's not like we're sitting with a measuring tape or, oh, I didn't grow enough or anything like that. It's because One of the things that we talk about all the time is that 1% change every day creates exponential growth, right? But 1% is actually in the moment is insignificant. We can't really feel it or see it. And so then that what we've done today becomes our new normal. And then tomorrow it feels like, well, that's always been part of us, right? And we kind of lose track of how far we've come. And it doesn't mean that it's always an explosion, but even little incremental changes that you make and you don't notice, when you can come back and look later, you think, oh, I completely forgot. I felt that. I completely forgot. I said that, or I believed that. And it's really, really cool when you can come back and you can see how much you've learned and you've grown and you've changed on purpose, because that's what we're working toward, is to be doing things on purpose. Because the one thing constant in life is change. So we're changing all the time. We're either changing on purpose or we're changing by default. And so it's like sitting on in a boat on the ocean, and we're tossed around by the wind, by the tide, we're tossed around. If we don't have our sails, and even better is to have a motor on the back of the boat, right? So we can have our sails set and we're still being tossed a little bit, right? We can guide it somewhat, but it is definitely still subject to the wind, subject to the outer circumstances, right? So, like if you were to be in a part of the ocean and suddenly the wind stopped and you're working on the wind and the sails, you're going nowhere. And I know I'm not a sailor. I don't really do the boat thing. I just know certain things about it. And some of it's from watching movies. I hate to admit that. But there's a movie, and I can't even remember which one it was, but it was one where the woman was sailing across the ocean, and it was this journey that was big, right? I'll just say that. I don't really remember. But I remember, and it was a true story, that there was a space that she was sitting in the ocean, her sails were up, and no wind from anywhere. So she sat there for days in this one spot. Now, so if we're looking at the outer circumstances to move us about, there can be times that we sit there and we just have no ideas. We have nothing that comes to us and we feel stagnant, right? Maybe that's the time that you go sit and you watch, you binge watch some show. And then you're feeling like, oh, I should be, I should be, I should be. Or you can put the motor on your boat. And that, what that means is you take charge, you decide where you want your life to go, what the changes are that you want to make. And that's your motorboat. That's your motor. And so you can toss, you can move this boat anywhere you want to. And that's when you're open to intuition and you're open to these inspirations that come to you of, oh, I need to call my Aunt Jane that I haven't talked to in 10 years. Call her. Maybe it's, I don't really need anything at the store, but for some reason I'm feeling this compulsion to go to Publix right now. Go. So there are so many things that we sometimes don't listen to because we're not open to the possibilities, because we think we need to know exactly what's going to come out of this conversation, out of going to Publix, out of whatever it is that's coming up for us, right? But we don't need to know. We just need to surrender and go to it. And so think about it. We want to measure how far we've come, because I got a little off track, didn't I? And let me see where I am on time. I can get off on a tangent, that's for sure. So come back to right here, when you felt the most confident speaking up. And what can you do to recreate that feeling in the future situations? And as you sit there with your journal or your notebook, make sure you've got it written out. But after that, don't write anything yet. just sit there, take in some breaths. And I like to say, spend a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes, just getting quiet and grounded in where you're at, feet on the floor. And the way you can quiet your mind a bit, because our mind chatter just goes all over the place. For some, I know when I first started doing this thing, it would be some of these silly things like, oh my gosh, well, what am I going to be doing for lunch? When I really need to be going and answering that email. I need to go do this. And my mind would be telling me all the things that I needed to be doing instead of sitting, right? And so I've learned over time and through some courses and all that I've taken that one of the things that helps me to quiet that chatter is to sit, no music playing and nothing like that. It's just me and the quiet, but I can listen to the sounds of things. And like when my mind starts wondering, oh my gosh, what am I going to be doing for lunch? It's like suddenly I'll say, okay, I hear the ceiling fan. I hear the chimes downstairs. I hear the whir of my computer. And focusing on all those sounds and the feelings I feel just bring me back into this body in this present moment instead of distracted into all these places. And when you can kind of do that for just a few minutes, just give yourself 10 minutes to just quietly, 10 minutes out of 24 hours is very insignificant, but it is very powerful. So use that 10 minutes to get quiet. And then if anything starts popping in, maybe you could come back to, when have I felt the most confident speaking up? When have I felt the most confident speaking up? And just use that kind of chatter, talking about the journal prompt, right? And then when you come out of this after 10 minutes, that's when you just brain dump everything that comes up for you, however it comes up for you. And sometimes it may feel like it's the silliest thing, or maybe you feel like you're telling a story. Maybe you feel like whatever, it doesn't matter because your subconscious mind is telling you what's in there, right? And so you just put everything there. And then after you've written all of that out, then you look at all of those things and you say, okay, so if that is true, that is the times that I felt most confident speaking up, then what can I do to recreate that feeling in future situations? And then if you want to take it a step further, you can actually think about a time that may be coming up soon that you know you're going to be speaking, whether that's at a networking event, whether it's on a program that you're on a Zoom, or you're going to meet your future in-laws, whatever it may be. Then imagine that scenario with this confidence. So it's almost like we're doing, like I've talked before about the pre-paving, right? Like Abraham Hicks talks about pre-paving. And so it's almost like you're pre-paving with this new confident scenario that you've got here right in front of you in your notebook, right? And so you're utilizing it right away as a practice for something that's coming up. And you will be shocked at how amazing that changes things for you. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know. Am I making sense here? I'll take a sip of my coffee while I'm waiting for things because I know there's such a delay on this sometimes. Maybe it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Carrie. I was thinking I must have lost everybody. Thank you, Wendy. Oh, my goodness. All right. So today is a day that you're going to explore your confidence, and it's going to be magical. And I can't wait to hear how things pan out for you. And when you do all of this, if you want to share something in the group, feel free to share. That's one of the reasons it's there. But if you need to reach out to me, if you have questions or anything like that, you can ask them in the group or you can send me a message. But I love you guys. And for those that are watching in other areas, because like I know I don't know if they're still there. We had some people on Instagram, and I can't tell if we have any on Facebook right now. I mean, not on Facebook, but on YouTube right now. But if you would like to be part of this amazing community where I am actually watching their comments and everything, it's called the Stand Up and Stand Out community. And it is such an amazing group of people. And I love you guys more than you even know. But if you are watching and you want to be part of that group and you think it would be kind of cool to have a community of people that are like-minded doing all of this work together, then definitely ask to be a member. And the way you do that is you just go to VickyPoole.com, VICKIEPOOLE.com, and then you'll be prompted to answer some questions. And you have to answer the questions to be entered into the group. So if you want to be in the group, answer the questions and I will get you in there ASAP. And then you'll be able to take part in all the different things that are going on in the community. And while I'm remembering too, I will be here again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I want to remind you that next week on Tuesday is our Brilliance Masterclass. And it'll be the last one before the program starts. And so it's our way of continuing to pour into you some of the things that help you to move the needle a little bit, right? And then on Thursday, is it Thursday? Yes, Thursday the 27th, Luis at 7 p.m. Eastern will be live in the group, and he will be sharing some of his financial expertise and the game of how to play the game of money. And that is going to be exclusively in the group. So make sure if that sounds like something that you'd like to be part of, because he's actually doing a live program inside our Stand Up and Stand Out intensive program. And it's going to be amazing. I have been having several meetings with him about going over, what he's wanting to cover. And because I'm his client, basically, because that's one of the things is, the thing is that happens is that you start making more money. Your expenses go up. You start making more money, expenses go up, and you still stay in that same place, right? Or that has been my experience a lot of times. It's that I can make more, but then more goes. And so I'm really excited about this game that we're going to be playing to create this different flow of money so that money comes in and goes out, but it's at a smoother pace. It's at a pace that feels good, and we can look at our finances and actually be talking about money in a relaxed, calm way. I can't wait because of, I've been married before, been married twice, and you talk about some conversations that can get downright ugly. It's about money. And in other relationships with like with my children or with some friends and everything, you put some money in the mix, it can get uncomfortable. And I will say, my one of the things, let me just share real quick. My uncle that was my mentor that I used to have meals with him all the time because he was very wealthy, and and I just wanted that to rub off on me a little bit, his mindset and the things, and I loved being around him and just getting that energy, right? And one of the things that he's told me that I thought was very interesting, he said that he and his wife decided when they didn't even have any money that they weren't going to be loaning money to family and friends, because as soon as you do that, it changes your experience with that person to where you're almost like the the loan shark, or you're the bank, and they are the people that are trying to pay. And he said it just changes the whole dynamics of the relationship, and they didn't want to do that. So they made that decision when they didn't have any money, that they were not going to do that, and they stuck with it. And so it's like, we can make decisions about what we're going to do with our money and that kind of thing, how we're going to feel about it, how we're going to talk about it, even if we don't have any. We make that decision wherever we are, and that's what he's going to help with, all that mindset stuff, you know. So I know I've got to get off here, because I got a client due in just a few minutes. But definitely, if any of this sounds like something that you would like to be part of, make sure that you get into the group and take advantage of some of this stuff. And you guys that are in the group already, I think I've got to go back and look. I think I've got an event set up for that. And just watch, because I'm going to be putting in another poll that he wants me to put in for seeing some of the thoughts and everything that you guys are having around things. And so just watch for all of that. So I'm super excited. And thank you for being here with me today and playing. And I appreciate you. So like Wendy says, have a confident day and be blessed. Mwah.